Welcome to the Ecliptic Spiritualist channel. I want to get into 10 spiritual things that people do that are total BS. Okay, so I'm using the BS of bullhickey or bullshiggity or whatever we want to say, but as a total word of the BS. But I want to go over 10 things, so stay tuned to this, and I'll add this to the blog as well. So go on and subscribe to our website, https://eclipticspiritualist7.com, and go to our blog, and I will have this in writing for you. Okay, so along this journey, this spiritual journey, there's a couple of some self issues, and then a couple of areas that I want to talk about that I've seen over a span of 30 years in being a practitioner, and like to show some things that I've noted over the years. And some of the psychologists called it a certain name, and when I was studying, going through my studies in undergrad and grad, I like to reference in the 1980s, which wasn't my timing, but there's a well-known psychologist called John Wellwood, okay, and he called this kind of behavior spiritual bypassing. And spiritual bypassing is referred to as spiritual practices and beliefs to avoid confronting uncomfortable feelings, unresolving wounds, and fundamental emotional and psychological needs. We see this from time to time when you're a working in the circular field of counseling, and then also working in the metaphysical or spiritual side of things, which is doing spiritual work for others or doing spiritual consultations and different things of that. So I'm going to get into some 10 of the things that I have found, and you may even have some more than you may know of, or you may even recognize these things that I'm talking about. So number one of the first ones is participating in spiritual activities to make themselves feel superior to other people. That's one. Okay, and that is one of the topics, one of the main ones of spiritual things people do that are total bullhickey. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, participate in spiritual activities to make themselves feel superior to others. We know people that do that. They do that to perverse aspects of spirituality. Sometimes people do different things of superior information, or they feel that one thing is better than the other. It's kind of like a level up type thing. Ego tripping, basically. Number two is using spirituality as a justification for failing to take responsibility for their actions. All right, so that's number two. And sometimes they'll say it is what it is, or sometimes it could be just not reliable, and these are failing to take action. So this is another bullhickey. Okay, number three is adopt new hobbies, interests, and beliefs simply because they're the latest spiritual fad. That's number three. Human beings want to fit in somewhere. So sometimes people have a deep need to feel that they belong to a group. But spirituality is one interest area around which people form all sorts of groups. So this is potentially a great thing, but it also has a shadow aspect as well. Okay. Number four is judge others for expressing anger or other strong emotions, even when it's necessary to do so. Okay, this is a very common situation, and that's sometimes is avoiding deep issues that need to be addressed. You have to address issues sometimes, whether or not they are expressive or not. That's part of human nature. We have a happy, a sad, a delighted, an anger side. That's part of who we are. Anger is a natural human emotion and is perfectly justifiable responses to many situations. Okay, number five is using spirituality as a justification for excessive drug use. That's number five. Okay, trying to rationalize self-destructive patterns of drug use and to blind themselves to the dark side of various substances. Okay, um, this can go on many arenas. So that's another dawn of another day conversation. Number 6 is overemphasizing positivity in order to avoid looking at the problems in their lives and in the world. Okay, just be positive is often employed as a deflection mechanism by spiritual people who would rather not deal with difficult work or confrontation, their own internal issues, wounding, and baggages. Thinking positive, just be positive. Don't focus on the negative. Okay. The dark aspect of life do not disappear so simply because you ignore it. You have to deal with situations. That's where readings come in play, spiritual consultations come in play, shadow work comes in play. You have to deal with things. If you don't deal with things, you're making a higher risk for yourself and the others around you. And then we have repressed unpleasant emotions that don't fit their spiritual self narrative. Okay, that's an explanation in itself. All right. Number 8 is feel deep aversion and self-loathing when confronted with their shadow side. Okay, and I noticed pretty quickly after learning about spiritual bypassing that I saw in people, and then did not dealing with situations, people not having unrealistic views about themselves and not diving deep within them to take time to go through correction. And then when you go through correction for yourself, in a year or two's time, you will see the change that will happen. And it does take some time to deal with adverse issues that you may or may didn't even know that you had, that can be addressed and fixed and healed. Okay. Number 9 is find themselves in bad situations due to excessive tolerance and refusal to distinguish between people. Okay, you have to distinguish between people. It's just the majority of people worldwide seem not to have this mentality to deal with common sense. Okay, you have to deal with common sense. Common sense will take you a long way. All right, and number 10, along with spirituality. Number 10 is want so bad for various spiritual practices to be correct that they disregard science entirely. All right, science is included with humanity. There's nothing wrong with having that. There's a balance. All right, and you'll always hear me say balance is very important in our tools in spirituality. It's part of who we are, a sound balance. Okay, so be mindful of these 10 spiritual issues or things that you will hear along your practice or with other people that can be full of a bunch of bullhickey or BS. Okay, and these are the 10 spiritual things that people do that sabotage their own growth. Okay, growth is important to take time to deal with. If you would like me to elaborate a little bit more on each one, comment down below. I can elaborate in a video or on a live here on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Each one, and dive deep on each one of these topics to discuss it so that way you're aware. You also can contact me for personal psychotherapeutic readings that will change your life, along with spiritual work, spiritual consultations. Join our masterclasses in the occult practice. It will change your life, along with metaphysical supplies, altar visuals, so much more that we offer. Join our Patreon account. It's a North Node community that helps support your spiritual journey, and a lot of learning and a lot of fun and a lot of inclusiveness. I love you for watching today. Have a great and magical day. Don't forget to dive deep and trust in yourself first, always, in all things. See you next time. Bye-bye.